Let's move it on to the Saturday Night Football game here. We're going to talk Tom Brady. Everybody loves to watch Brady. We'll see if Mike Evans makes it to the starting line. Did practice today, but coming a week or after 1 week of a hyperextended knee, we'll see how healthy he actually is. But there's still a lot of weapons for Tampa Bay. And as I said, there's a lot of weapons for Tampa Bay. There are no weapons for the Washington football team in this one. As we take a look at 7.5 is the opening total, 8s to 8.5s, even some 9s now showing up in Pennsylvania here. Over under 46.5, dropped to 44.5, and I agree with that. Let's volley back and forth in this game and have fun with it, because when I take a look here, this is the game of the week that would utterly shock me if Tampa Bay loses. And it's not because, Brady, he can have a bad game. Yeah, he can. The wide receivers can have a bad game. Yes, they can. The offensive line for Tampa Bay can have a bad game. Yes, they can. But the issue here is not so much from me, Kyle, with what Tampa Bay might not be able to do. It's what Washington cannot do. And recency bias, we could do whatever. Alex Smith, this isn't these 49ers Alex Smith where he's running around, read options and throwing short passes to, Vernon Davis and Frank Gore and having a lot of fun out there and winning football games with Harbaugh. This is the new Alex Smith, which is the really, really old and injured Alex Smith who can't get out of the way in the pocket at all. He's going to face a formidable pass rush. But the issue for me for Washington, Kyle, as we look at this game is not what I'm getting from Alex Smith. It's what I need to get out of Taylor Heineke, because that's the only way I'm winning this game. Now, listen, hear me out on this. If you're looking at just a pure point spread perspective, Alex Smith is probably the better option. He's not going to throw the football downfield. He's not going to turn it over. He's not going to get a lot of first downs, so you're not going to get a lot of turnovers, which means you're going to punt a lot and say, well, why is that good? Trust me. Not getting the turnover that's going to break the back of the team is much better than when you're on your own 35 and punt it to the other team's 20-yard line and make them go the full length of the field with a really good defense that Washington has. That's my issue here. If Washington wants to win the football game, and looking at practice today, Alex Smith is off to the side. Alex Smith can't see the field. If he does, they will lose this game. If Heineke plays, they'll probably still lose, but at least he's going to give the offense a fighting chance here.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. What does Washington need to do offensively so that they can take pressure off the quarterback? They need to run the football. Well, then you look at Tampa Bay. It's one of the, if not the best run-stuffing defenses in the entire league. They have been for a few years now. So it's going to be real hard. Now, the good news is that secondary, Carlton Davis looks like he's practicing, and he should make it back this week. Yep. They're going to be without Devin.
Is he out this week?
Well, Devin White, I believe, is going to be up, but they got the other young man, the better linebacker. His name is slipping my mind right now. Someone can remind me in the chat box. Their top linebacker, he should be there. There is some weaknesses in the secondary. Terry McLaurin, of course, we know he can catch a short pass and run past anyone and make some long plays here. But, man, it's going to be tough sledding, and now you're doing this, merry-go-round sort of action during the week going into the playoffs at quarterback. Look, I don't think there's a lot of points in this game. This is another one where I like the under in this game. I think the number's too high. When you look at Tampa Bay, when you look at their 5 losses this year, all of them against playoff teams, all of them against teams with good defenses. They only had one really impressive win this year, and that was against Green Bay at home in Tampa Bay. The Washington defense is set up to give Tom Brady problems. I don't think Tom Brady and this offense are going to go out and put up 35 points on this Washington defense. That's just not going to happen. This is a very good Washington defense. So if Washington can keep Tampa Bay, between 20 and 24 points, which I certainly think they can. I mean, we've seen plenty of good defenses keep this Patriots team right around 20 points, and they're built up front the perfect way. Every time you see Tom Brady lose a game he shouldn't lose, the 9-7 Giants, 16-0 Patriots, the front four gets a pass rush. They get Tom Brady off his spot. Then after the game, there's a report, Tom Brady had a hurt foot or a hurt ankle. There's always some nonsense excuse. Washington is built to do that. I'm not sure the offense can respond the other way. I think this is a closer, low-scoring game. I don't think Tampa Bay covers this spread, but I certainly expect them to win. My favorite bet on this game is the under. Obviously, I'm a little nervous betting on Washington in any scenario, so I'll take the under for the game. But if I had to pick a cover here, if I had to pick a side, I'm taking Washington to cover. I just don't think Tampa Bay can put up enough points on this defense.
It'll be one of those interesting things to watch because also styles dictate fights here. If you're Tampa Bay coming into it, Kyle, your MO is going to be like, let's get out to a 7-0, 10-0 lead and then laugh at Washington and we'll play ball control. We know they can't come back. Let's just do enough to get out of town because I don't think if Tampa Bay is up, let's just say 17-7 early in the second quarter, they're going to put their pedal to the metal and say, we got to get to 30 points to beat this team. We know if Tampa Bay can reach that 20 mark, they're going to beat the Washington football team. There's no question in my mind. So when I try to theoretically see how Washington can win, I don't think they can hold Tampa Bay to under 20 points because I'm not sure Washington can score 20 points. But again, we always like to talk about the theoretical looks at these games. We're not picking the game to say because Tampa Bay is going to win and move on. We're picking it against an 8-point line, which means the same thing that we're going back and forth with. 6-point game in the fourth quarter. We throwing it or saying, look, they're not going to drive 90 yards on us with Taylor Heineke or Alex Smith with Civil War leg and beat us, by 1 point. Yeah. That's the way you have to look at this. And again, I stress by saying your best chance to win is Heineke. Your best chance to cover is Alex Smith because he doesn't do anything back there.
Right, exactly. So, again, this is going to be probably a gruesome game to watch. This is not going to be a ton of fun. You probably won't see a ton of big plays. The Mike Evans injury is even worse for it now. I know they said he practiced. How healthy will Mike Evans be? I mean, that just doesn't seem too likely. Washington is a good defense. That front four, if they come to play and they put pressure on Tom Brady, I think you're right. Does Washington get to 20? No, but I think Tampa Bay does. I think 20-24 is just about right for what Tampa Bay gets in this game. Then you look on the other end, will Washington maybe get to 17? That's sort of where I see it at, 20-14, maybe 23-17 type of game here. Maybe a late score when Tampa Bay sort of, takes their pedal off the metal and realize they've got this game won and try not to risk injury. Should be a win for Tampa Bay, but it's going to be a slugfest. It's going to be a defensive game. I expect Tampa Bay to win, but again, I'm taking the points with Washington. I just think that line is too big, and I think the defense can give Tampa Bay enough problems as the other defenses have throughout the year. When you just look at their losses, the way Washington plays defense, that is exactly the defense that gives this offense problems. I think they do it again this week, so I'll take Washington to cover, but you're right. Tampa Bay should be moving on.
Fascinating stuff. And you're right, 46.5 down to 44.5. And we, my always slogan is you really get lucky if you get an under here. We'll see what the tempo turns out to be. And we could be shocked. And, Tampa Bay's moving the football. And then all of a sudden Washington is, moving up and down the field. But when you look at, yes, Mike Evans would be a big loss. If he's out there and plays decoy, that certainly can help him out because they still have a plethora of other weapons they can get to. When you look at Washington, your pathway to victory is we got a great defense. Can we get offense? Alex Smith is hurt. Terry McLaurin still has a high ankle sprain he's fighting through. Antonio Gibson has turf toe, which a high ankle sprain and turf toe for elite athletes is like a death nail to them, and they're still trying to scrape by and get after it. I think it runs out of time this weekend. And you know what else would have helped Washington as well? 65,000, 70,000 at FedEx Field cheering and trying to interrupt, Tom Brady's offense. So looking at this game, the game is over. It's 11:15 Eastern time. You say, man, this guy really played well, and that's why they won. If I look at it at both sides, because, the battle that I look at Seattle where I said, hey, Jalen Ramsey versus DK Metcalf, the winner is going to come out ahead on that one. This is two defensive ends here. One is JPP. The other one is Chase Young. If one or two of those guys have big nights here, because Tom Brady is an older quarterback, he can feel that pressure. This kid is elite coming off the edge. He can really disrupt that offense. And the same thing goes for JPP on the opposite side, because if we have, and I always like this term, Civil War leg Alex Smith, who can't get out of the way, JPP might kill him.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Sorry, the Jets were flying overhead, so I had it muted here. JPP has not practiced yet this week, so it is something to keep an eye on, yet to practice. But you're absolutely right. If Washington finds a way to win this game, it will be because those defensive ends for Washington have made life a living hell for Tom Brady. On the flip side of that, I think a sneaky – and another guy on the Washington offense, watch out for Logan Thomas. They're going to need a lot of Logan Thomas. He seems to be the favorite target for all of them. That's what they're going to have to rely on third downs. They're going to have to keep it in third and medium. Logan Thomas is going to have to ball out and have a huge game from the tight end spot. So as you start to talk about it, you see how ridiculous it is.
It's so great. I love it.
I mean, it's so true, and it's so sad. J.D. McKissick and Logan Thomas have to lead the way. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. But on the other side, Antonio Brown could be really interesting. They've targeted him a lot this year. When you face these sort of tough, physical, grindy defenses, it's nice to have a guy with a lot of quickness who can get open and make plays after the catch. Antonio Brown will be interesting to watch this week. If Antonio Brown gets into the end zone, Tampa Bay wins this game easily.
This is how crazy we are again. This is why gamblers are so crazy, which we are. You take a look at this game and you say, I got Tom Brady, a good offensive line, two good running backs, Fournette and Jones. I got to play. If Mike Evans doesn't play, we still have Chris Godwin, which is an all-pro caliber guy. You have, Scotty Miller can get downfield, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski. And then you look at the other side, and it's like, who needs to have a big game? Logan Thomas. You're like, man, we're really you get the peanut butter, you're making it for your kid, you're just scraping the bottom. I have nothing left to try to make this sandwich or get it complete. That's what we're trying to do to get after Washington. But again, if it was so easy, why would the line only be 8 or 7.5 at this point? Wouldn't it be 19.5 or 20 like we see in college football routinely? They're still professional players. You have a really good pass rush on one side, which is an older quarterback. You can push him off the mark. But it's great the way we're capping and breaking these down, going, you know what? If Logan Thomas has a good game, you're like, what did I just say that? I'm going to try to bet my money. But it is the way it is on that stuff. Yeah. But that's the Saturday card. Really interesting stuff.